Hi, Kate Lumpkin here, founder of Bloom Ayurveda, and welcome to part three of this five-part series covering the elements of life. We have already talked about water and earth, and now it's time to move on to the third element, which is the element of fire. And this is the element that I am most familiar with. Not only is it just a part of my natural constitution, but also it is the element within me that can become most out of balance if I am not careful about my lifestyle and my diet. And so, we've all been around fire before. We can really, quickly remember those qualities of fire. It's very intense, it's hot, it's sharp, it is penetrating, it is just all consuming. And when we think back to Homo sapiens, when they discovered fire, mankind literally transformed. They were able to eat a different way. They were able to thrive in a different way. And so fire really is that element that is just the element of evolution. But there's also that shadow side of fire, which has the ability to completely destroy anything in its path. When we think about the wildfires of California, the fire just completely destroys anything that it touches. So you have to be really careful with the fire element and to make sure that it's contained. Otherwise, it can completely, deplete anything that it touches. So, when we think about the physical body, how the fire element shows up in the physical body is the digestion. So, if you think about the stomach, it is a warm, boiling, let's just say pot. And it is, has bile and enzymes and acids that break down the food in order for us to assimilate the food and draw out the nutrients to, be healthy. And if we don't have enough of that digestive fire, then we aren't going to be able to break down and assimilate our food. And this is why it's so important to ensure that we are ingesting warming foods, that our food is cooked, that we are drinking room temperature water. And so think about like the quality of the food that you eat. Are you just ingesting like really cold food all the time? Starting your morning off with smoothies or an acai bowl, and then having a salad, or having like even like cold chicken salad or cold chicken egg salad from the fridge. Like, what are you eating and how is it heated? Because the more cold food that we eat, or even if we're drinking iced water all day, every day, that is going to be putting out this fire that is in the digestion. And as you will learn with all modalities of holistic wellness, we all say that disease or dis-ease, whichever, all starts at the root of digestion. It all starts with how we are digesting, excuse me. And so we really have to take that into account, the health of our internal fire and digestion. We know those people who have chronic digestive issues, like they can't eat anything. They've been on a mono diet for forever. They're gluten-free, they're lactose intolerant. They can't eat broccoli without having terrible cramping and gas. That is a sign that there is a damp tissue state, that there is coolness within the stomach, within the digestion, and that they need to ramp up that internal fire because right now they just don't have enough of that heat to help them digest. Um, Also, we've talked a lot about how the elements show up from birth and we'll get to death eventually, but really the element of fire starts to become more prominent around the teenage years. So around puberty is when we are starting to see more of that transformation into the next becoming of that child, right? So this is when, people have teenagers. I went through my teenage years and I was rebellious and I didn't want to listen to my parents. I had my own ideas and ideologies of what I wanted to do. This is when we can start to see like acne on the face and skin issues. And these are all associated with the fire element. And it is really when, we as individuals, that is really the formative years of when we are transforming into this next evolution of who we are going to become. And so that is really when you're going to see this fire element, the intensity start to pick up. And just a couple more things on the physical, but until we get to the mental, emotional, but also, when we think about the fire element within our body, we have to think about, our elimination. If you experience diarrhea or even chronic diarrhea, that is when there's just way too much of this fire element. And there's essentially the fire is just burning through everything that you're eating to where it can't even form a real stool. And you're just like not even assimilating or pulling out any of those nutrients. That food is just coming out of your body in more of like a liquid form. And so that is showing that there is way too much heat within the system. And if we also think about like the temperature of our body, like I said, I tend to run hot. Like I have a lot of the fire element. And so when it's July here where I live, and I'm already a pretty hot natured person, and then I go out in this extreme heat, it is like fire with fire. And I am so sensitive to heat. The second I like walk out, I'm already just like irritable and hot and overheated and like itchy. And we can, that's just showing that I have a lot of that internal fire. But someone that is really susceptible to cold hands and feet, it's just showing that there's not enough of this circulation. There's not enough heat within the blood to pump out that warmth to the extremities. So again, associated with fire. So we think about like the temperature of our internal body a lot when we think about the element of fire within the physical body. Um, let's switch now to the mental and emotional aspects of fire. When we think of, fire, as I've mentioned the words a couple of times, evolution, transformation, these are the people and these are the times in your life where you're just like really excited about things. You want to read the books, you want to listen to the podcast, you feel like you're just like really into whatever you're doing. There's this passion. Right. And a lot of times people with a lot of the fire element in the mental body is the CEOs, the teachers, the lawyers. There's this kind of like overall intensity to them. And these are the people who like to get stuff done. I don't know about you, but like I love to make a to-do list and check the things off of my to-do list and get things done on a daily basis. I'm very, very motivated. And that is that fire. And while all of that is great, and we really need a balanced fire element within the mental emotional state, because that's what gives us, the clarity of mind, a sharp memory. It also, if there's too much and we're burning ourselves out by being, workaholics, we're going to become depleted. Like I said, with how the fire element can kind of destroy anything in its path, it also can become overly intense or overly sharp to now, like how you can tell when someone's imbalanced in the fire element in the mental emotional state is when someone's very quick to anger, reactivity, frustration, being super critical or super judgmental. Those people who are just judgmental about every single thing, or they're, critical about everything you do. It's like you don't even want to talk to them about what you do anymore because they just have something, rude to say back. And these are people who are just way too heated in this mental emotional state. And so, you have to kind of find that fine balance of you don't want to be too cool to where you're now slipping into depression and lethargy and you don't have a great memory and there's a lot of brain fog. But you also don't want to go to this very intense, heated, angry state. So I know that we've all heard of, the sayings of, you need to take a chill pill. You need to calm down. You need to cool off. It's those sayings of you need to cool off. You literally need to bring a cooling element into your life to offset this heat and this intensity. So I think those sayings are really interesting because when people probably made up these sayings, like I don't even know where they came from, but I don't even know if they're thinking about the elements, but they had to have subtly because they're literally saying take a chill pill, chill versus fire. It's the balancing act. So let's just take a moment to audit. How do you feel in your physical body? Do you feel like your digestion is working well? Or do you have a lot of digestive symptoms? Do you have diarrhea? Do you have any like heated kinds of patterns on your skin or acne or rashes or eczema? Like all of those are signs of heat within the body. And from a, mental emotional standpoint, do you feel pretty, balanced and go with the flow? Or is there just an intensity to you to where you wish that, you could take a chill pill, like you could take a step back. You wish that you didn't work as much as you do or something like that. So maybe just take a moment, over the next couple of days to notice how the fire element is showing up for you in the physical, mental, and emotional body. So if you stayed here for this entire time and you're still listening to me talk, thank you so much for sticking around for part 3. Part 4 is going to be hitting your inbox soon. And if you haven't already, I would love for you to just message me back and let me know how this is landing with you. If you're learning anything, if you have any questions, if you like this form of content, I would love to hear from you. I really just want to connect with this community and keep educating and keep teaching and starting at the beginning and making this tangible and hopefully bite-sized. So let me know how this is landing for you, and we will talk soon. And thank you so much for being here.